Hi guys. This is an exercise that I do in the classroom and it works really well in the classroom setting, but I'm just going to try to replicate it in some way for you guys. So please get out a piece of paper and a pen or pencil and draw a Venn diagram. So two big circles that intersect in the middle. This is a nice way to brainstorm any kind of comparative analysis essay that you're having to do, looking at how things are different, looking at how they might be similar, and then trying to give meaning to that. So again, you've probably been doing this for many years, um, thinking about how things are different, how they compare, and how they contrast, and how they are similar, how they compare. And oftentimes you just kind of leave it at that, like, okay, there are the facts. Our purpose now is going to give meaning to those observations. So I would like for you to put men on one circle and women on the other circle. So just title them that way. First, I'd like for you to brainstorm, and we're going to talk about stereotypes. So you have that handout that kind of walks you through the difference between stereotypes, prejudice, and discrimination, and kind of how one leads to the other. We're just talking about stereotypes. So in our culture, what does it mean to be a man? What do men like? What do they like to do? I want you to take a minute to kind of brainstorm that and fill in that side of your Venn diagram. On the other side, do the same for women. What specifically, um, stereotypically, in our culture, do women like to do? What do women like? What are they like as human beings? So just kind of jot down words that kind of pop in your head. And remember, we're talking about stereotypes. And in the middle, any similarities there might be in stereotypes of men and women and what they like, what they are like, what they like to do. Okay, actually, now pause the video for a minute and finish that up so I'm not just staring breathing at you. And then unpause it when you're done. Okay, so typically in the classroom, I'll do this up on the board and students will yell things out. One interesting observation is that almost every semester, when we get to the women's side, the young men in the room especially will say, well, I don't want to be offensive, but this or that. So that's an interesting observation, first of all, that so many of the things that we associate with being kind of feminine seem like we're putting people down. And Jean Kilbourne talks about this a lot in Killing Us Softly. But again, typically, the men's side, our stereotypes that we fill that in with are very kind of strong, active, powerful things and ideas. Like trucks, they like sports, the head of the household, make money in the home, aggressive, don't show emotion. And then on the women's side of things, you have very kind of passive ideas like shopping, nail polish, romance novels, cooking, being in the home, being a mother. And it just shows some really interesting things. And I'm imagining that some of your Venn diagrams look very similar, since I asked you to kind of fill them out with stereotypes, not necessarily your own personal thoughts, but what culturally we're kind of told about men and women. And then sometimes in the middle, students will have, human beings and need to eat food. I don't know. There aren't a whole lot of kind of similar cultural stereotypes with men and women. So then, okay, you have that information. Okay, here we go. But then what do we do with that? How do we give that meaning? So what I just said, we typically can kind of pull, okay, these are really active traits and these are really passive traits. What does that mean? Is it okay for women to have masculine traits or to have masculine hobbies? Yeah, typically that's kind of desirable in our culture. is it okay for men to have ideas, hobbies, likes that are in the feminine, the women's side of things? And that's not okay. So that's where we start thinking, why is this? What does this mean? What are the consequences? Um, and that's what you kind of want to do with your essay assignment. So use a Venn diagram if you find that helpful, or other kinds of kind of brainstorming, mapping things to gather your observations, look at them, and then start coming up with a meaning and an argument. So that's that. Again, remember, let me know if you have any questions or you need any ideas or feedback at any point in this. Just let me know.